Welcome everybody to this week's Toastmasters, which is TED Talk Toastmasters. I call this meeting to open. So this week we have our TED Talk Toastmasters. We have a great video, Everyday Leadership, chosen by our esteemed colleague, Mr. Harvey. Thank you, Mr. Harvey.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and for first up, we have our timer, Mr. Ben, who's come back from so long, he needs to refresh his timer speech up here.
Welcome back to
Welcome back to
civilization. Where is so long in China?
Actually in Singapore.
Singapore.
Singapore and a bit of Hong Kong.
It's kind of a joke. So long sounds like it's a place in China.
Oh yeah.
It's just so
being Shanghai.
Yeah, that's right.
Being Shanghai, yeah.
Not as long as Andy though. He spent over 15 years there.
Yeah, yeah.
Where, here?
Shanghai.
In Shanghai, China.
You live there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think we met there once.
Yeah, so there are a couple of
I
times,
visited
yeah.
once there.
Yeah. So, Ben, do you want to come up and give
start
a
now?
brief introduction
Okay,
of your...
sure. I thought we would start the TED first. Okay, we will do this.
We'll do
So I can
this.
refresh.
All right.
Go.
Thank you.
Thank
Ben.
you. Thank you. Fellow Toastmaster, honorable guest, I'm the timer for today. The reason why we have the time is because we do want to keep pace of how the speech is, coming along, so that we have 3 different type of color. Normally the green, if you're doing a regular prepared speech, is about, when I show this, then it's 5 minutes. You have used up your 5 minutes. And then later on, flip, one more is yellow, then you have used up another additional minute, which altogether 6 minutes. And then when you see this, that means your time is almost up. So you have about 7 minutes in total, and everyone will start counting, and then you will just feel the honor that people welcome your speech, but then it's about time to go back to your seat. So that is the regular speech. And for the evaluation, it's 2 minutes for the green, 2.5 minutes for the yellow, and 3 minutes for the red. For the table topic, 1 minute for the green, 1.5 minutes for the yellow, and 2 minutes for the red. Yeah, thank you.
Well, you can't very much. It's all table topic.
I think it's all table topics
Yeah,
unless you
today
get
is
it.
mainly just table topic.
Yeah, today is mainly just table topics.
Twice.
But twice, yes. There will be
What?
a TED question. There will be a TED question, so based on this list. So I'll ask the grammarian / accounter to come up and introduce his role, and then I'll go over the TED questions, and then we'll move on to the TED Talks after. Thank you, Mr. Grammarian / accounter.
Fellow Toastmaster, honored guest. Are you still guest? No, you're a member.
He's a member
Fellow
now,
Toastmaster.
yes.
Oh,
That's a yes,
That's a
yeah.
guest, okay. Today I'm doing double duties. Our counter doubled up with grammarian. But I probably really should hand the grammarian job back to the grammarian master. However, since he's kind of just gone back to civilization, so we'll leave him alone for the time being. And basically, our counter is to see, measure how many R's, M's, all those big long pause for you to think about your next sentence. So we'll try to have a better, more smooth flow. Then grammarian, as I'm trying to watch the special word you're using, sentence you're using, and grammar you're put it in your sentence. And we'll look at it. Average, we're all using $5 words. Then I'll try to mark down you use $100 words, or $50 words, or even $10 words. And many of those $50, $100 words, we don't even know where they come from, but that's okay. That's my job. I'll hope I can do reasonably okay with the master sitting right next to me.
Grandmaster. Jedi Master.
Thank you. All right, so today is our TED session. So we have 6 standard questions we have for the TED video. What did you think about the topic?
Didn't like it.
What did you like about this topic? What did you not like about this topic? Can you relate to this topic? Do you have a story related to this topic? And using the Toastmasters sandwich method, evaluate the talk.
What kind of sandwich?
It's a good thing,
Steak
bad thing, and then a good thing, and you make a short little
Very good.
evaluation of the speech.
Thank you, kind sir.
All right. And today's table topic is also on leadership. I think I have one general question for the table topic, which everybody can answer. Have you ever had a bad leader, but in hindsight was good?
Whoa. Twist in the
Oh,
tail.
that's interesting.
Wow.
Twist in the tail.
Yes. So, on with the show.
Got me thinking.
Constantly have a bad
No,
leader,
I
but
don't.
every night I feel
Just truck count. I believe he's smart enough to be able to count, but
I want to start by asking everyone in the audience here a question. How many of you are completely comfortable with calling yourselves a leader? See, I've asked that question all the way across the country, and everywhere I ask it, no matter where, there's always a huge portion of the audience that won't put up their hand. And I've come to realize that we have made leadership into something bigger than us. We made it into something beyond us. We made it about changing the world. And we've taken this title of leader and we treat it as if it's something that one day we're going to deserve. But to give it to ourselves right now means a level of arrogance or cockiness that we're not comfortable with. And I worry sometimes that we spend so much time celebrating amazing things that hardly anybody can do that we've convinced ourselves that those are the only things we're celebrating. And we start to devalue the things that we can do every day. And we start to take moments where we truly are a leader and we don't let ourselves take credit for it and we don't let ourselves feel good about it. And I've been lucky enough over the last 10 years to work with some amazing people who have helped me redefine leadership in a way that I think has made me happier. And with my short time today, I just want to share with you the one story that is probably most responsible for that redefinition. I went to a school on a little school called Mount Allison University in Sackville, New Brunswick. And on my last day there, a girl came up to me and she said, "I remember the first time that I met you." And then she told me a story that happened 4 years earlier. She said, "On my day before I started university, I was in a hotel room with my mom and my dad, and I was so scared and so convinced that I couldn't do this, that I wasn't ready for university, that I just burst into tears. And my mom and my dad were amazing. They were like, 'Look, we know you're scared, but let's just go tomorrow. Let's go to the first day, and if at any point you feel as if you can't do this, that's fine. Just tell us, we will take you home. We love you no matter what.'" And she said, so I went the next day and I was standing in line getting ready for registration and I looked around and I just knew I couldn't do it. I knew I wasn't ready. I knew I had to quit. And she says, I made that decision and as soon as I made it, there was this incredible feeling of peace that came over me. And I turned to my mom and my dad to tell them that we needed to go home. And just at that moment, you came out of the Student Union building wearing the stupidest hat I have ever seen in my life. It was awesome. And you had a big sign promoting Shinorama, which is Students Fighting Cystic Fibrosis, a charity I've worked with for years. And you had a bucket full of lollipops. And you were walking along and you were handing the lollipops out to people in line and talking about Shinorama. And all of a sudden, you got to me and you just stopped and you stared. It was creepy. This girl right here knows exactly what I'm talking about. And then you looked at the guy next to me and you smiled and you reached in your bucket, you pulled out a lollipop and you held it out to him. And you said, you need to give a lollipop to the beautiful woman standing next to you. And she said, I have never seen anyone get more embarrassed faster in my life. He turned beet red, and he wouldn't even look at me. He just kind of held the lollipop out like this. And I felt so bad for this dude that I took the lollipop. And as soon as I did, you got this incredibly severe look on your face, and you looked at my mom and my dad, and you said, look at that, look at that. First day away from home, and already she's taking candy from a stranger. And she said, everybody lost it. 20 feet in every direction, everyone started to howl. And I know this is cheesy, and I don't know why I'm telling you this. But in that moment when everyone was laughing, I knew that I shouldn't quit. I knew that I was where I was supposed to be, and I knew that I was home. And I haven't spoken to you once in the 4 years since that day, but I heard that you were leaving. And I had to come up and tell you that you've been an incredibly important person in my life, and I'm gonna miss you. Good luck. And she walks away, and I'm flattened. And she gets about 6 feet away, she turns around and smiles and goes, you should probably know this too. I'm still dating that guy 4 years later. A year and a half after I moved to Toronto, I got an invitation to their wedding. here's the kicker, I don't remember that. I have no recollection of that moment, and I've searched my memory banks because that is funny, and I should remember doing it, and I don't remember it. And that was such an eye-opening, transformative moment for me to think that maybe the biggest impact I'd ever had on anyone's life, a moment that had a woman walk up to a stranger 4 years later and say, "You've been an incredibly important person in my life," was a moment that I didn't even remember. How many of you guys have a lollipop moment, a moment where someone said something or did something that you feel fundamentally made your life better? All right. How many of you have told that person they did it? See, why not? We celebrate birthdays where all you have to do is not die for 365 days. And yet we let people who have made our lives better walk around without knowing it. And every single one of you has been the catalyst for a lollipop moment. You have made someone's life better by something that you said or that you did. And if you think you haven't, think about all the hands that didn't go back up when I asked that question. You're just one of the people who hasn't been told. But it is so scary to think of ourselves as that powerful. It can be frightening to think that we can matter that much to other people. Because as long as we make leadership something bigger than us, as long as we keep leadership something beyond us, as long as we make it about changing the world, we give ourselves an excuse not to expect it every day from ourselves and from each other. Marianne Williamson said, "Our greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light and not our darkness that frightens us." And my call to action today is that we need to get over that. We need to get over our fear of how extraordinarily powerful we can be in each other's lives. We need to get over it so we can move beyond it. And our little brothers and our little sisters, and one day our kids, or our kids right now, can watch us start to value the impact we can have on each other's lives more than money and power and titles and influence. We need to redefine leadership as being about lollipop moments. How many of them we create, how many of them we acknowledge, how many of them we pay forward, and how many of them we say thank you for. Because we've made leadership about changing the world, and there is no world. There's only 6 billion understandings of it. And if you change one person's understanding of it, one person's understanding of what they're capable of, one person's understanding of how much people care about them, one person's understanding of how powerful an agent for change they can be in this world, you've changed the whole thing. And if we can understand leadership like that, I think if we can redefine leadership like that, I think we can change everything. And it's a simple idea, but I don't think it's a small one. And I want to thank you all so much for letting me share it with you today.
So he was a pretty fast speaker.
Yeah,
Very
quick. It's a TED Talk length, it's 6.5 minutes.
It's 6.5 minutes, yes.
I should have timed him.
Toastmaster length.
Yeah, it's 6.5 minutes. It's Toastmaster length.
Yes.
But he was really rushing through it.
Yeah, lots of information.
Yes.
And,
So I hope everybody listened carefully and got that. So who wants to start with the first table topic, which is one of these?
Since I'm at the start,
Okay.
I don't know, I can't see
Five
that.
questions.
I thought you could choose.
One of those 5 questions.
You only imagine what Paul's got to say.
I don't even know what Paul's going to say.
So, what did you think about the topic? Did you like this topic? Did you not like this topic? Can you relate to this topic? Do you have a story related to this topic?
Can you pick and choose? Or
Do I have a story related to this topic?
Maybe.
I don't think I do. Really? I don't know. All right, I'll do that. Do I have a story about this topic? I don't know. Okay, good evening, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Thank you all for coming. I just want to talk about a story related to this TED Talk. Well, I mean, we're all pretty much Christians here. I'm not sure about everybody. And we all know it's our duty to be leaders. So we have to lead when the opportunity presents itself. It is not my favorite thing, that I'm just going to say that. I lead when I have to, but I really prefer not to if I can avoid it. I believe I can make my difference being behind the scenes as a general rule. I do sometimes lead, like I said, when I have to. Groups and I don't know, whatever, church. And like I said, when I have to, but I prefer not to. I'd rather be the background guy. I much prefer being a background guy, but there is lots of leadership opportunities certainly here. If you want to be a leader, you certainly can be. And I recommend anybody that's good at it definitely should, but like I said, I try to avoid it. I am not really a leader kind of guy. I prefer, like I said, to just take care of everything in the background and let leader people be leader people. There's certainly people that are very good at handshakes and hugs. And I mean, I'm getting more used to it, and then certainly been a tough week this week. I've had to step up quite a bit this week. Not really my favorite, but like I said, when we have to, and we do, because well, it says we're supposed to, so we do. And well, that's all I can think of. I thought we'd go around in the circle.
Okay, this way, all right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Paul. Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, I actually want to respond to what Paul just says. Because I am very much like Paul. I would rather follow than lead. I think leading makes me make decisions that are so wrong, right? Because you have to, oh, do I have to do this or do I have to do that? And usually, in my case, I will pick option C, which is way, 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 way wrong and cause so many problems down the road. And that is my experience of trying to lead, trying to be a leader. But what he's saying is not being a leader in that sense, making decisions, making choices. It is more about showing leadership, showing people behind you what you do that makes you happy, and people will naturally look at you, follow behind you, and say, Paul's such a great guy. He spends almost as much time in this church as I do, and I work here.
Yeah, you spend
Right? He does so much volunteer work with Rejoice Ministry, healing rooms, prayer groups, Coastal. He's here for Alpha, life groups. I mean, there's probably only one day I'm here when Paul isn't here. That steak night, yeah. So it is an inspiration to have Paul here as a leader. And I completely agree that being a leader doesn't mean making decisions, making choices, but it's how you approach being a leader, how you approach life that inspires us. And that's the key thing here, is inspiration to others. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ben?
No, I should.
So maybe you have a time?
There you go, see?
Stealing your chips, if that's okay.
Copy. Okay. No pressure. No
Fred, you'll stop.
Okay, I just got back, right? No worries, yeah. Okay, fellow Toastmaster, honorable guest. The speaker earlier really inspires, because oftentimes when we heard the term leader, we normally reference to the great leaders of the past. Like in Asia, maybe we reference to Dr. Sun Yat-sen. He basically, formed a revolution, overthrown the entire imperial system, so there's no more king in China. After 5,000 years, he just overthrown the whole thing. So in 1911, China had no more kings. So that is some type of leader that normally we associate to. And in the US, maybe George Washington, overthrown the British, and then, so those are great paramount leaders. But this particular speaker really is inspiring, actually. There's all sort of leaders. So even by passing a lollipop, or asking a person to pass a lollipop, he was trying to make a point that is, so long as if you are genuine and try to involve people and cause some very positive changes, as he said, that particular couple later on, 4 years later, got married and hopefully is, happily ever after, from their speech. it's amazing that the little bit of positive energy, and then it keep rippling, and become a snowballing effect to the point that, you know, this couple form a good family, form a good union, and then later on they have kids, and then they will have even, you know, more positive energy because this story is going to be shared to the next generation. And then if it keep going on, then everyone understand, you know what? Being a leader doesn't mean that you have to do revolution. I mean, if you can do it, I mean, if it's a good revolution, that's good. But even a little positive thing that you do, that, you know, help people out, connect people, that could be also a leader. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Fellow Toastmaster, honored guest. Today we're talking about leader or lead. And what most impresses me was the meaning behind his speech. Because I think he wasn't really talking about leader or leading. He's just more talking about influencing people. He's really talking about how to use your act to affect people. And now I turn around, when I watch it, I said, isn't he just talking about 100 success? Basically just talking about we need to show our positive anything. We wake up in the morning, we should feel good. Have a lollipop, we should all feel good. Have something reasonably successful, we should all feel good. Then with the positive energy, we can influence the guy next to us, the person across the street, and all these little things, it really is a very subtle leading. And this is where in our cultural custom, we think leader is someone just stand on the podium and really rah, 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 and called everybody follow. But really not, because we can have a leader like Paul. We can have a leader like Lloyd, and just, you know, go on the street, talk about 5 minutes of a small, short sermon. That would influence a lot of people one by one, and we don't need to be like Billy Graham talking in a 25,000 people stadium. We can just talk right on the street and then influence one person at a time. This is how I get it from this speech. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Fellow Toastmasters, my guest, it's good to be back. It's been a while. I haven't done this in a while, so here goes. Like some of the speakers before, Andy and Paul, I would very much prefer not to lead. I very much prefer to follow. Why? It's because it's easier to follow. Somebody tells you what to do, you do it, they say good job, you have good feelings. As a leader, you need to tell other people what to do. And like Andy, I often fear, oh, what if I do something, tell them to do something wrong? Then what happens? It's going to be really bad. Or people will see it, I'm going to be embarrassed, kind of thing. So that kind of made me think of the first time I was ever appointed to be a leader of anything. I think I was in high school and I was appointed, or I was told to take care of the Sunday school class. You know, maybe 10 kids, they're like 10, 11 years old. First time I've ever been asked to lead, I remember I was sweating bullets the night before. Like freaking out. Like, oh my God, if I say something wrong, I'll teach them something wrong, I'll give the lesson wrong, and I'm going to ruin their lives or something like that. But honestly, as I got used to and got the hang of teaching that class, I found that the point of leadership sometimes is not so much what you tell them to do. Well, obviously it's important, but also part of the importance of being a successful leader is just having the right attitude and expectation of have people listening to what you tell them to do. because the first time I told the children to do the lesson, I was really uncomfortable and not confident. And when you tell them to do something that way, they kind of don't listen to you. But as I taught them more and more, I just had a more firm attitude, I guess, and just exuded the expectation that you're going to do this because I told you to do it, kind of thing. Or you're going to do this lesson plan. You're going to sit down and eat your snack, and you're going to be quiet, kind of thing. And then slowly, I've noticed that the kids listen more and more. How this relates to the TED Talk is that the speaker said at one point, we have to get over the fact that we might actually have an effect on another person. And that, as a leader, is the most important part. You have to get over the fact that you might actually be able to affect other people with what you do. And in that way, then you'll actually be able to bring out all the positives that you might be able to affect on this world. Thank you.
Smashing right now. Action speaker.
Okay, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. To those who have ears to hear, follow my lead. Because I really like this man's speech here about leading and that. Because leading to me isn't about barking orders. Because for me, as to be a leader, if I have to bark an order of somebody, it could hurt their feelings and that probably inside. They don't want to show it, but it makes me feel like this big, right? And I don't want to feel this big because I think I'm a lot bigger than that. But I'm at least 5'8", you know. So in leading, I like to be an example. So if I wanted to get these floors mopped, I wouldn't just bark orders at somebody. I'd go pick up the mop, go get onto a corner and start mopping the floor. And then I would look around, I would say, would anybody like to lend a hand to mop the floors? And I guarantee somebody will see that you are doing the job too, and they will decide, well, he's willing to mop the floor, I'm going to get in there and I'm going to help. That is my way of leading. Another way of leading is to be a leader of example as to not walk around this world with a scowled look on my face like I'm this miserable wretch that is ready to pounce on people and like I have nothing else better to do in life. No, I like to walk around with a smile. I like to speak nice things to people. I like to be a little humorous and make people laugh and smile and fill them with joy. Because to be a leader of example, I do that through the one and only Jesus Christ. That way I humble myself. I'm a very humble man through Christ Jesus. Just like this man here, you know what? He's a great leader. You know why? Because he's a silent leader. This man here volunteers in so many places in churches and that. I had no idea that he was that big. Really, I didn't know, Paul. And my heart goes out to you. That's a great thing. So yeah, so I'm telling you right now that to be a leader of example is to walk with integrity, to look out for other people's feelings. See, love is the action that you take when you watch out for other people's feelings, even when they don't watch out for yours. Leading by example, right? To be able to fill people with God's joy. Right? Thank you.
Thank you.
Took a few minutes to put that together while I was sitting
No
here.
worries. That was great. That was awesome.
Toastmasters and people I haven't met yet. I'm just trying to think about part of the movement I saw about. I think, wasn't there a sentence there about a bad leader?
That's later on, the bad, we'll talk about a bad leader in hindsight being good. Or you can talk about that now if you want.
Okay, because that's the one mind. Yeah, I have a friend of mine passed away a couple of years ago. My buddy, my wife my sponsor for 39 years.
Oh.
And we used to run dry socials together and do Canada Day events and all that stuff. And we used to go to AA meetings probably about 3 or 4 times a week. But he had a woman, a lifetime partner, right? But he couldn't leave women alone. Just chased them all the time. That's what got him in trouble. One time we went to a meeting there, we were leaving, because this girl was there and she was leaving, so, and he was driving, so I'm with him, I had to leave, and I don't know, she pulled up, and the boulevard there, he drove right over the boulevard, got stuck on it, tried to get after her, right? And I said, that's it. I told him I said, I had enough, and I can't take this anymore, you know. And I think he had a sex addiction on top of his alcohol and drugs. Truly, I do, you know, I never had about it. But I always consider of all the stuff we did together as him being a leader, right? But probably 80% of the time I'd have to sort of be there to pick things up for him, especially when it came to women. And it happened a lot, like I am. And, I mean, he was such, every other way in his life, he was very, very spiritual man. You know, he was a native guy, he loved the Creator, you know, and he respected my religion, if you want to call it that, or my spirituality. And he'd come to church with me, you know, through the years off and on. But he just couldn't get over that one thing, you know, for most of his life. And, but he was my best friend, and he was my mentor all the time, man. We did wonderful things together. Unreal things. And, thanks.
Harvey.
Fellow Toastmasters, honoured guests, I love this talk because this talk really helps us to understand that we are all leaders. And I know a lot of you are thinking, I don't want to be a leader. And we've heard that Paul doesn't want to be a leader. But we are all leaders. And the reason I can say that with confidence is because that, as this guy said, our perception of being a leader is skewed. And I somewhat say that that might be the North American culture of exceptionalism, that a leader must be exceptional, outstanding, and stand out from the crowd. Now that, for me, is easy, because I'm tall. So, that is not what a leader is. Now, as Christians, we know the best leader that we can think of is Jesus Christ. And when he came, I think there's a scripture, I'm not very good at quoting scriptures, but it says something along the lines of that he didn't consider himself equal to God, but he came and humbled himself even as a child, was born and just became a guy working with his dad in a shop, and then gathered 12 young guys, probably 16, 17. And if you look at how he influenced people, and I think the key is influence, that is what a leader is. He influenced just 12 guys. One particular story I can think of is when he said to Peter, "You are going to be the rock of my church." Now, that's a 17-year-old guy being told that he's going to be a great leader. And what did he do? He messed up big time. He denied him 3 times. That gives me hope. If Jesus would choose someone like that, then that's great. This is why I like this story. I like it a lot because we can all be leaders in that way. We can encourage each other. We can encourage someone. That's easy, right? And I think we do that. And I think, I can't remember who said that, but that's what Toastmasters is about. We encourage it. I think Scott. That's why I love this thing. And a very short story. I remember one time when I was 15, and the teacher asked me this question. This is the biggest influence in my life, apart from Jesus. Okay, one of them. She said, "What are you going to do after you finish high school?" And I said, "I don't know." And she said, "Wrong. You are going to go," pretend this is me. "Wrong. You are going to go to university. You are going to do a degree in computer science. You are very gifted in maths." That changed my life dramatically, and that sentence was maybe 15 seconds long. That is influence. Thank you very much. Well, I knew what was coming, right? No, that would have been great. And then I married that teacher.
Hands are out in the open today.
See, Scott? Answer right here. Fellow Toastmasters, silent leader, honored guest. We have to think about what a leader really means. Now, there's so many different types and forms of leadership. A leader is a lot like a captain. When I think leader, I think captain. I think of a ship. I think of a CEO in an office. He is a captain. He's guiding his company like a ship. He's making decisions. You might start off in the mailroom, work yourself up to being an office clerk, then on the board of directors, then the right-hand man, then senior partner, and maybe CEO. Just like a ship, you start off in the crew, you work, fifth officer, fourth officer, first mate, captain. That's one sort of leader. Then there's also the people that lead that don't even know that they're leading. They lead by example. Then there's the people that want to lead but couldn't lead on it if their life depends on it. And I give them credit for trying, however it's just not in their genes to be a leader. Then we have our politicians, which we elect to be a leader. And a lot of the times they're not very good leaders. Governments change, politicians change, so I stay the same. And sometimes we do get a good leader in office, such as Jimmy Carter, I think Barack Obama, and these are people that we've elected. But we need a leader, we need someone to step up to the plate, take direction of that ship. If we don't have a leader, that ship is going to go off course. So we have to, we're in a lot of trouble without a leader. Even back to the caveman days, when they were going out hunting mammoths, buffalo, there was always someone leading first. Because maybe he was a stronger, or the person was a stronger character of the other people there. Saw that person going, it was like, okay, we're safe. They had confidence in their leader. I also think that when we do lead by example, and you're saying things, this gentleman in the presentation here said, you might not even know that you're leading. I believe that there's angels amongst us. And people come to me and I'm like, I'm an angel, you know. And they're kind of get good advice and leading me in the right direction. And you think of our Father, we ask Jesus, please lead us away from temptation because He is the greatest leader of them all. That's all I have to say.
I like the way you finished that.
Yeah, that's very good, Scott.
Captain.
Came off of the ship. Where's
Came
the-
off with the
Him with that.
That came from your Titanic.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's a Titanic story.
There was this Titanic story last week, yeah.
But it's true though.
It's true.
I have to go back to the video.
Yeah.
Check out the video, you'll be like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did we take a video of it?
Yeah, we did a video.
I like how you put your idea away for, together for your speech.
Saw the cards going up, I was like, okay, gotta end this soon.
very good.
Well, it's
You did lots of that.
longer because we let it go long because
We were interested.
it's an interesting topic, right?
As you do it within 2 minutes, it's very
Within 2
challenging.
minutes, it's very challenging.
Very challenging, yeah, because it's a very dynamic topic.
So it's and to speak your mind on it in
Yeah.
such a short time,
Let's
Yeah.
do 3 minutes.
maybe.
Yeah, maybe next time for TED Talk,
First
maybe we should set our own club rule because
Yeah.
like in the regular
Well,
Toastmaster, they don't have TED Talk.
Yeah, the Toastmaster, 1 minute, 1.5, 2 minute.
For table topics, but that is
Is
not
a
TED
good,
Talk.
yeah, good one
Yeah.
for.
Leaders away.
Okay,
We
so
can discuss about that next
now we move on to table topics.
That was good.
And Brian, fortunately, has already answered that question, unless you want to answer another one. A good leader, a bad leader that in hindsight did good. So the table topic question for this week is, have you been or experienced a bad leader and in hindsight figured that it actually was good for you? So, who would like to go first?
I want to get if we're going to do the circle.
Oh,
You want you want to go first? Or, okay, all right.
Go ahead.
What are we talking about again?
A good leader.
I couldn't help it.
That's what made it fun.
Yeah, that's right.
Good evening, Toastmasters and honored guests. Thank you for coming. Let's see, I guess I'm going to talk about my dad. My dad is a real hillbilly. I don't know how many people have actually met like real hillbillies. Well, you know, I come from up north. My dad actually lived in the city most of his life. We were born in, or I was born in Oshawa. It's just outside of Toronto. And that's where we mostly live, but that's not where my family comes from, neither side. They come from north of 7 is how they say it. Once you cross that line, there's a big difference between Toronto and up north in Ontario. Okay, a real hillbilly, I don't know. How do I describe a real hillbilly? Real hillbillies hunt. Okay, we'll start with that. They all hunt and fish. It's an absolute requirement if you're going to be a true hillbilly. They all, until you couldn't legally have a gun rack in the back, they all had a gun rack in the back, and they always had a shotgun and a rifle in case something come along you might want to shoot. And they'd all shoot out of the cars. And yeah, that's incredibly noisy. I'll talk about that for a second. What the heck? Okay, very noisy. If you've ever been in the car and somebody shot a rifle to kill an animal, very, very loud. One of the loudest sounds you'll ever hear in your life. Your ears will echo wherever you go. Anyways, my dad, he taught me a lot. Like I said, he's a hunter, fisher. He taught me skinning and cutting up animals and fish. And well, plus he was also a licensed mechanic. Not what he did. My dad worked in a glass factory. But he knew about every kind of engine. I've torn apart every kind of little engine you can imagine, or big engine, or whatever. Anything that has an engine, generally I can take it apart and put it back together. Maybe not now, because the new engines are very different from the old. But anyways, he taught me all that. My dad also, he very good with framing and drywalling and all that kind of stuff, like building a house and whatnot. He taught me all that kind of stuff too. However, we disliked each other a great deal. I will say that. He was a very, very good leader. I personally, through most of my life, thought he was a total asshole. Would be the right word, absolutely. I mean, we come to where we didn't talk for a long time. I mean, we get along great now again, and we get together and fish and whatever, but I definitely did not think he was a great leader growing up. But, you know, when you look back when you're old and know all the skills that you know, and I mean, a lot of people don't know how to skin an animal and whatever, that kind of thing, or, you know, anything to do with survival. I watch the shows and laugh because I know. And, well, that's about all I got to say.
Very good.
Man, I learned so much about Paul now.
Yes. Yes. Well, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests, the table topic is bad leaders you've experienced that in hindsight were good. And this brings me to when I was in high school. I was 15, 16, and I was always a terrible student. I would just do enough to pass. Sometimes not even enough, but it'd be like 49%, 49.5%, and it just like teetering on passing or failing. And I caused my parents so much distress. I caused them so much distress. I don't know if I did it out of malice or fun, or because I knew everything they were teaching. Oh, I know that, I can answer that. And I can answer it, but do I want to answer it? That's the big question. Until my parents got me this tutor, this Taiwanese tutor. this foul-mouthed, angry Taiwanese tutor. He was so obnoxious. He'd stop around trying to teach us this calculus stuff, math and whatever. And whenever you have to ask a question, teacher, what did you mean by that? You go, are you stupid? How come you don't understand this? I read it right here. It's so clear. And yeah, he'd berate you, so there'd be this room full of students listening to him, taking notes, and you ask a question or you do try to do the work, and he'd berate you. But I don't know why, I found his style very stimulating. And I begun, my math grades started to go up because this was fascinating. It was so interesting how he was teaching, what he was teaching. Oh, how to calculate the angle of the point of a curve, or how to make a curve, how to do it in real life, the 3D plots, quantum mechanics, physics and stuff like that. It opened up a whole new, it opened up a whole new arena for me. No, but it's very powerful stuff. And so by the time I got out of high school, my math grades, let's not talk about the arts, English and French and all that. Those were still terrible. I didn't have as good of a teacher there than anything else, but my math grades, physics and whatnot, they went up, and I was so interested. And I remember on one of the tests in high school, grade 12 math, AP math, there was this calculation, and I look at this, I'm trying to figure it out, and I did this, there's this simple formula that we all should have had. And I figured this whole thing out using the long form math, and I got the right answer. And the teacher said, the formula is right here. How come you didn't use it? And I was looking at it, but that was fun. So that's my experience. Thank you very much. Ben? Thank you.
Well, fellow Toastmaster, honorable guests, I would say leadership have some cultural implication. Being born and raised in Asia, we were taught to respect leadership, elders, since we were kids, or maybe even 5,000 years ago when we have king, in China. So we were taught that you have to respect that hierarchy. So for my personal experience, because we were brought up in that Confucius way, we instinctively respect leader in a pack. It's very natural. So when there's a leader, we will just listen to the leader and just try to be obedient. So that was our cultural kind of like heritage thing. But I must say that in Asia, there's a country, I would say there's one particular leader very famous. His name is Lee Kuan Yew. Anyone heard of him? He's from Singapore. He's the leader of Chinese descent, but was brought up in Singapore and born there for about 4 generations. So he's not really Chinese. So somehow, when he ran the country, he ran it with iron fist. And a lot of people, while he was alive, I was told they hate him. Because I know a lot of students that were studying here as international students. When I was also international student here, they're Singaporean, they keep telling me, you know what, I hate Lee Kuan Yew. We cannot eat gums. When we go to the washroom, we have to flush the washroom, we have to do a lot of things just to make the city very clean and tidy and everything. So all those students keep telling me that how bad is Lee Kuan Yew. But guess what? The moment when Lee Kuan Yew died, you won't believe how many people go and pay respect on the street level, and including those people that I know from SFU, they start talking to me and saying that, you know what, he's a great leader. Singapore without Lee Kuan Yew will never be Singapore. So I think that is a very good example that when a leader like Lee Kuan Yew, when he was alive, some people appreciate him, some people don't, but he just stick to his course and make sure that everything is for the benefit of the country. He doesn't take bribe, doesn't take anything, and by the time when he passed away, now he's not around now, but people actually respect him even more when he was kind of alive. Thank you.
Fellow Toastmasters, the topic is, have you ever had a bad leader eventually turn out you think he or she is a good leader for you? Oh, so many leaders in my life. First, I think I'm a good leader, but I'm not talking about me today. I think as the person can fit it into that statement is really my wife. I go home, I said, I did this. I present myself as I'm the leader. She came out and says, no, that's wrong. It shouldn't be. You should do this. Very often, usually by the times I go to bed and fall asleep, then wake up, I think she's right. Very rarely I went back to her and say, I think you're right. But this is what the topic is really talking about. In my heart, I think she's right. So maybe I still wanted to save my face because I am the leader. But quietly, I think I'm doing a little bit of what she said I should do. And very often, the second time, second day, second month, she comes back. You see, I told you that before. Every time turned out to be I was right. I hate it. But then I went to bed. Yeah, she is right. Thank you very much.
Your other half.
Now, should we send that a copy of this video? Hey, Marion.
What's this video What is this video worth to you? I wouldn't do that.
Fellow Toastmasters?
Yeah, sure.
Bad leaders that turned out to be good. I would say, well, from a personal story, my first manager I had working at a big company. It was an electronics company. Since this is on video, I won't name the company, but he was, I was my first real job, I would say, at a big company, selling computers, laptops, things like that. So he was very sales driven, and I found out fairly quickly that I wasn't the best salesman. Because when I talk to people and try to sell them something, often trying to spend a lot of time trying to understand what they really wanted. And he was more like, no, skip that part, so just get them something and then sell them the extended service plan or the extended warranty, which is just, not usually what people want to spend money on because it's just an extra cost on top of the product. But he really pushed that. And I kind of resisted it because I just thought, well, if they don't want that, I want to make them happy instead of selling them something they don't want. Anyways, we had a lot of issues with that, and one day we had to talk, and he sat me down and said, this isn't really working out. Why don't you go? There's another opening in operations inventory, so I think you should maybe go and take it because it might be a better fit for you. And I was like, okay, yeah, I guess you're right. Since I haven't been really hitting my targets in terms of selling extended extended service plans, I'll go to this other department, which is, you know, all the way in the back. It's not like all the shiny stuff in front. You're in the warehouse area, the truck comes in, you uncrate the truck, and then you have to do all the sorting and everything else. Turns out, it was the best job I ever had. I really liked that part of the job because I enjoyed operations and trying to sort things and finding efficiencies in the company to, you know, make things run smoother. I didn't like sales, so I guess the point is that he wasn't he wasn't afraid to really confront me with the issue that I was in my job. Also, he gave me another opportunity somewhere else that turned out to be great. And at the time, I thought, you know, this guy, we can't agree. He's not teaching me properly. We never really got along. But afterwards, I felt, you know, he actually saw that it was just not working out, and maybe saw something in me that fit somewhere else. So he was able to do that. So that's why, in retrospect, I felt that he was, you know, not as bad as I originally thought. Thank you.
Oh, I have. Fellow Toastmasters and honored guests. Yes, tonight is all about leading, right? Well, you know how I was saying in my speech earlier that I like to be a leader of example, right? So I think in this speech here, I think I'd like to show you how to be a piss poor leader and give a piss poor speech, because really, you know what? I want to show you how not to do a speech, right? So what kind of spaghetti do you like? What do you like in your spaghetti sauce? Anything special?
Meat.
It doesn't matter. What do you like in yours?
Meatballs.
Meatballs, good. How about you?
Cheese.
Cheese? I don't like cheese, but get cheese. Yeah, so what about you? Do you like chicken soup?
I'm okay. Yeah.
You like chicken soup? How about you, Andrew?
Oh, yeah,
Chicken soup? Chicken soup? Turkey soup?
No, not so much.
Ah, too much, eh? Yeah, well, anyways, I was thinking about maybe we could just go back to the restaurant and go back to those, the beef there, and we're gonna cut that beef open and slaughter it and hang it in blood and everything, and then we'll drip dry it, and then we'll have some seared steak, fresh steak after we just gutted the animal and that, right? And bled it all over the ground and everything and that. And yeah, so how do you like my speech so far? Is it any good or what?
I like that
Huh?
steak.
What do you think about that?
I'm hungry for the
Yeah, okay. I just wanted to be a bad
Where's he going with
I
this?
could
Where's he
afford
going?
one.
A good Toastmaster by being a bad example of the speech.
I was thinking that you may be planning to prepare a good dinner with spaghetti, chicken soup, turkey soup, and everything.
Steak, we want steak.
And the steak part, it was juicy, yeah.
And that brings us right into the slaughterhouse.
All right, who's next?
Yeah,
Another one?
another one.
Sure, another one, yeah.
Or we can answer the first question.
In any way.
Since you've answered this.
Yeah.
Or leadership in any way, yeah.
Yeah, in whichever way you want. Yeah, just make a speech about with everybody.
Anything on leadership since you've done this
Yeah.
question?
Yeah.
When I worked for my uncle. When I worked for him, he's the leader, right? Because I was a fisherman's helper. I worked for him for about 5-6 years, seasonal off and on. He had he lived like in a town called Riverton, but when we fished in a place called Frog Bay. So it was about maybe 40-hour ride. And so we'd live out there for a season. He had a house out there, a 2-bedroom little house, and very close to the lake and all that. But he had a big yard, which needed to be mowed, all that stuff. And so I agreed to be the fisherman's helper. And I go out to the boat, catch fish, bring them in, fill them, put them in, box them, and they're done. I said, that's it. That's my part. But then he'd have me mowing the lawn. We'd get up and we'd work from dusk till dawn. I'd be mending that, you name it, he made me do everything. But through the course of probably a 3-month season, I quit probably 3 times on him. I just get so fed up on him. I get up and get somebody to give me a ride to Winnipeg, and within that week he'd pick me up, take me back. I try to lay the law out to him again. But you know, what my job is, what I'm going to do, like I'm going to work, fish for you, I'll pull all the fish and I'll work hard, I'll stay up all night and day. If we get lots of fish, I'll do that, but I'm getting tired of mowing your lawn, or he wants to build another shed over here, so he wants to do that. And he doesn't really, doesn't hire anybody. Plumbers, me and him, we'll work at it until he gets it right, no matter what it takes. If he'll get the light over screwed, he'll get something screwed up in there, and he'll fall in there, but he'll go get another one. He'll work out till he gets it right. That's just the way it was. He didn't pay for things. And I know, but he was a good worker. But as for being a leader for me, it just didn't work out.
Good. Should have.
Bad leaders. Well, I said I went to university, so I should continue that story. And at university I did indeed study computer science, as my teacher suggested. And I remember sitting in the computer lab, and there was a guy, I knew vaguely, moaning and complaining about this arrogant SOB, let's say, who's been quite rude about this person, and saying how he was so confident in his ability, he actually wasn't very good, and you know, he was actually doing maths, not computer science. How come he was in the computer science building? Blah, 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 bad-mouthing this person. So my impression of this other guy that he was talking about, whose name was Mike, was that this guy was not a very nice person. A few days later, I overheard another guy speaking to Mike, and indeed, this previous guy was right. He sounded very arrogant, self-assured, best programmer in the building, you know, you guys don't know what you're doing. That guy actually became a Christian not long after that. I wasn't a Christian at the time, and he started hanging out with the people I started hanging out with. I don't know how that happened. And slowly, over a period of time, I became a Christian as well. Now, he happened to be kind of like the leader of the gang, because he was very arrogant and self-assured and confident. You know, those kind of people tend to be the leader. So my opinion was starting to morph. And I'm not sure if you remember, maybe, well, some of you who were here at the time, I told you about my dietary likes and dislikes, and how at university I was introduced to such delightful delicacies as pizza. Can you believe it? I've never had pizza. And Mexican food and curry. Which guy was that introduced me to this? Mike Taylor. He also introduced me to music such as U2, Pink Floyd. He also said, that, why don't you play guitar? Play guitar. He also, I remember one time we were praying in a group setting, and he started talking complete gibberish. Now I got into the swing of things and understood how to speak Mike Taylor. So afterwards I said, Mike, are you completely crazy? You were talking complete gibberish. And he said, no, let me explain that, speaking in tongues, and then proceeded to help me understand what that was. So you see, over a period of time, he morphed from someone I thought was a terrible person, it's probably because he was growing up, right, he was only 17, into a quite good leader. Now, I've known him for a long time now. Now he's Dr. Mike Taylor, and he studies paleontology, like dinosaurs, and has kids, and got married to, get this, a woman who, when she first met him, said, that guy is the most annoying, arrogant SOB I've ever and someone went, you really love him, don't you? They got married. So she had the same experience as I did. Thank you very much. You can do it.
You can do it, Scott.
I'm going in negative, so that's not the proper way. Hello, fellow Toastmasters, honored guests. Leaders. Well, I'll go back to elementary school when we meet our teacher for the first time. And the teachers in elementary school are a lot different than the teachers in high school, because in high school you got a lot more teachers, but the ones in elementary school are the ones that are going to teach you the most, especially when your brain is like a little sponge and it's absorbing everything. Grade 1 was a little fun experience. We were coloring, we were learning a few things here or there. Grade 2, the work started getting a little bit more serious. But grade 3, that was the year when I was like, okay, now we're getting the work, and getting more involved in the work. They're making us work. And I had this teacher named Jean McLean, and my mom and dad would pick her up in the morning when they were driving us to school, because her house was along the way, so they were getting full insight of my development in school. And Jean was one strict lady. I went to an all-boys Catholic school run by Catholic brothers, and she would tell my mom and dad everything that I was doing. Oh, he was throwing rocks in the playground, or he's not paying attention. And I'd hear at the dinner table, and it was a little difficult. But when I look back, after all these years, and I started realizing this probably when I was in grade 9, that I did learn the most in her class. I learned about the bees, I learned about Vancouver, how it was all covered with these big trees, and we actually had to log it down in order to build the city, which I just thought that the city was here. I didn't know. I learned about the native people, how it was their land, how we took it, and all these other interesting things in her class. And I really learned the most about development of a life, about so many things in her class. And I could probably go on and on about it, but I guess you get the general picture here. And I didn't like how she was strict. I thought she kind of looked like a bit of a witch, but she was a good lady, and I was happy that she was strict with me, because she kind of whipped me into shape. That's it.
So, we had, yeah,
Just right.
just right, yeah. We had some interesting table topics, interesting talks from the TED Talk. And we're now going to slightly close it down, so I would like to invite our timer up to give his timer report.
Fellow Toastmaster, honorable guest, since today is our 100 Success Toastmaster Group unique TED Talk night, only our Toastmaster group have this. So I would say I'll give a very general about the timing. I think everyone is right on time. A couple of speech, it was expand really well. And I think for this type of TED Talk night, we can review it later with the executive team, see whether we should keep it in 2 minutes, because some of these TED Talk topics is very interesting. So maybe we want to round it up to 3 minutes or something. Yeah, so that is something that next time we can talk about. Other than that, I think, yeah, everyone really expand, and no one is under the green, which is at the beginning. I remember last time when I was doing timing, some of our member was very new to this, so they could not even reach 1 minute, so they just end there. But this one is basically everyone have sufficient time to present their idea. Some of them are a little bit close to 3 minutes, which I think is perfectly fine. Yeah, thank you.
And we have our grammarian / accountant report next.
What? Scott's gonna sing? Is that what you said? Scott singing? Singing? What are you gonna sing?
Wrote a lot of notes.
Okay, give him a key.
Where's the music?
The guitar.
The guitar.
This is a double duty. First, I was really looking for all those long pause. Can't really find many until either I was kind of hallucinating myself or whatever. The only one I find was when Mark came up, he just started with a big, okay. That's the only one I noticed. From the grammarian side, we're all talking about all these $5 words. I don't think I hear many 15, 20 courses. I didn't hear any $100 word today. But some of these $5 words, they phrased it together, all of a sudden becomes a good $20 phrase. And Paul was talking about opportunity to present itself. Beautiful. Very nice. And he said, I prefer to be a background guy. Beautiful. And Andrew's talking about a rather follow. But with such a big guy follow, everything in front is like a stampede. So I hope you can just walk or follow faster. That's actually a different meaning of a leading. And Ben is very good. He's talking about some paramount leader. I can't remember the context, but he's some paramount leader. And genuine something, that's what Ben was talking about. And using these genuinely influence, you can cause positive change in other people's life. I think that's rather profound. And also with some of the effect causing the ripple effect, then you gradually cause other people change with some small influence. Very good. And Mark had a couple of great phrases and sentences. Is talking about, I can't remember the context, but something ruined their life. And again, I don't know how was developed to that. And then right after, talking about some people get hand off a certain behavior, certain things. And along the same line as the ban, it has the actual effect on others. I think this is a great sentence. Lloyd has got probably the phrase of the night. Leading by example.
Yeah.
I think that is just unbelievable phrase. Well, if there is a prize, we'll give $50.
That'll be the phrase you're on.
That's a $50 phrase. It's unbelievable.
I felt like I was getting.
And with that, by example, Lloyd was saying, you pounces on people, just with integrity. All these is good, solid $20 plus words. And Harvey, I wrote a couple of scribble, I can't read. Scott has got a great word, a Cape mandate. I have no idea. And for some stronger character will become the leader. That's.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
All right, so that brings the meeting to a close.
What?
Yes, there's no more. No more for today.
Oh, thanks.
So, thank you very much, Toastmasters. This is coming to a close. Now